The city of New York glittered under the amber glow of evening lights. Skyscrapers pierced the clouds, limousines hummed across the avenues, and in the heart of it all stood the Silver Ivy, one of the most exclusive restaurants in Manhattan, where billionaires dined, deals were made, and the air itself felt expensive. At the corner table, a man checked his gold wristwatch for the third time in 5 minutes. Ethan Steele, CEO of Steele Tech Industries, was known for two things: his ruthless business acumen and his disdain for wasting time. Tonight, however, he was about to do something he hadn't done in years: a blind date. "Mr. Steele, can I get you another drink?" asked the waiter nervously, bowing slightly. Ethan sighed, swirling the whiskey in his glass. "No, I'll wait. Though if she's another 5 minutes late, I'm gone." The waiter nodded and left quietly. Ethan leaned back in his chair, checking his reflection in the darkened window. Perfect suit, perfect hair, perfect smile. Everything about him screamed control, except the impatient tapping of his fingers on the table. He didn't even want to be here. His sister, Mia, had insisted. "You've buried yourself in work for years, Ethan. You need a woman, not another merger." She had laughed as she handed him the details. "Her name's Lila Brooks. She's sweet, down to earth, and not impressed by money. So don't scare her off with your 'I own the world' attitude." Ethan had scoffed. "Blind dates are for desperate people, Mia. Then consider yourself desperate for something real," she had replied. And so, against his better judgment, here he was, waiting for a woman he already assumed he wouldn't like. The arrival. At exactly 7:10 p.m., the restaurant door opened. A young woman stepped in, clutching a small black purse. She wasn't dressed like the women who usually surrounded Ethan. No designer heels, no diamond necklaces, no glittering makeup. Instead, she wore a simple pale blue dress, elegant but modest. Her shoes were worn at the edges, and her movements carried a soft nervousness, as if she didn't quite belong in this world of glass and gold. "Good evening, miss," the host greeted her. "Do you have a reservation?" "Yes," she said, her voice gentle but clear. "Lila Brooks. Table for two." When she was led to Ethan's table, he looked up, and instantly, his expression hardened. "You've got to be kidding me," he thought. He had expected sophistication, confidence, glamour. Instead, here was a woman whose dress looked like it had come from a discount store and whose hair, though carefully brushed, lacked the glossy perfection he was used to. Still, he stood up out of courtesy. "Lila, right," she smiled warmly. "You must be Ethan. It's nice to meet you." Her sincerity caught him off guard for a second, but he quickly masked it with a polite smirk. "Likewise. Please, have a seat." The awkward start. As they sat down, a heavy silence fell between them. Ethan glanced at her, noticing the faint freckles on her cheeks and the way her hands trembled slightly as she unfolded the napkin. She was beautiful in a quiet, unassuming way, but he refused to see it. "So," he began, leaning back, "Mia tells me you work with kids." "Yes," Lila said, brightening. "I'm a teacher at a school for children with disabilities. I teach art therapy, painting, sculpture, and storytelling mostly." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Art therapy. Interesting." The tone wasn't admiration, it was condescension. Lila caught it but smiled anyway. "It's rewarding. Sometimes, the smallest progress means the world to a child." Ethan took a sip of his drink. "That's noble of you." Lila hesitated. "What about you? Mia said you run your own company." He smirked. "I run several. Steele Tech. We develop AI, software, robotics, automation, basically, the kind of tech that'll make most jobs obsolete in 10 years. Her eyes widened slightly. "Including teachers?" "Maybe," he said casually. "Depends on how creative the robots get." Lila gave a soft, disbelieving laugh. "Well, I hope your robots learn kindness too. That's something you can't code." Ethan tilted his head, amused by her boldness. "You'd be surprised what money and programming can do." The mockery. Dinner was served, a masterpiece of truffle risotto and seared scallops. Ethan ate elegantly. Lila took small, careful bites, trying to match his pace. She noticed the waiters addressing him by name, the subtle nods of respect. He was clearly important here. "So tell me," he said suddenly, his gaze sharp, Did Mia tell you how much I'm worth? Lila blinked. No. Why would she? He chuckled, setting down his fork. Because most women Mia introduces me to make sure to Google me first. Then they show up dressed to impress. Her cheeks flushed. I didn't think this was a competition. It's not, he said with a cold smile, but you could have at least tried. Lila's smile faded. I beg your pardon. Ethan leaned forward. You're having dinner in the most expensive restaurant in New York, and you show up in a, what is that, cotton dress from Target. The words stung like a slap. The nearby tables went silent for a second. Lila's throat tightened, but she refused to let tears fall. I didn't realize kindness had a dress code. Ethan shrugged. It doesn't. But appearances matter, Miss Brooks. In my world, they always do. She looked down, gathering her composure. Then maybe your world is smaller than you think. He raised an eyebrow at her courage. Feisty, he said. I'll give you that. Or maybe just human, she replied softly. For a moment, his expression flickered, almost guilty, but he masked it with arrogance again. A glimpse behind the mask. The rest of the meal passed in uneasy silence. Ethan scrolled through his phone more than he spoke, and Lila sat quietly, her eyes distant. When dessert came, she declined politely. I think I'll pass. Trying to keep your figure? He asked without looking up. She sighed, standing up slowly. No, Mr. Steele. Trying to keep my dignity. He finally looked up, surprised. She reached for her purse, her fingers trembling slightly, and then she paused. Something inside her seemed to break, or maybe it was finally setting her free. She looked at him with quiet pain and strength all at once. You know, she said softly, people told me not to come tonight. They said men like you only see beauty when it's wrapped in luxury. I wanted to believe they were wrong. Maybe they were just realistic, he replied flatly. Lila gave a faint, sad smile. No, just heartbroken before I was. And then, before Ethan could respond, she reached up and removed her wig. Time seemed to stop. Beneath it, her head was almost completely bald, except for a few fragile strands of hair. Ethan froze, his confident mask shattering instantly. Every smug word he'd spoken echoed back at him like poison. She looked him straight in the eye. I lost my hair 6 months ago. Chemotherapy. Stage 2 lymphoma. I didn't wear this wig to impress anyone, just to feel normal for one night. The entire restaurant had fallen silent. Ethan's throat went dry. He wanted to say something. Anything, but the words wouldn't come. I thought maybe, Lila continued quietly, someone like you could see past the surface. But I guess I was wrong. She turned and began to walk away, her bare scalp glowing under the chandelier light like a crown of courage. Ethan sat frozen, guilt clawing at his chest as realization flooded him. The woman he had mocked was stronger than he could ever be. For the first time in years, Ethan Steele felt small. The door of the silver ivy closed behind her with a quiet click that felt louder than thunder in Ethan's chest. The murmurs of the restaurant slowly returned, but for him, the noise became a blur. All he could see was the empty chair across from him, her untouched glass of water, and the soft strands of hair left tangled around the wig she had placed on the table for just a second before leaving. He swallowed hard. His reflection in the glass window mocked him. The powerful billionaire, conqueror of companies, destroyer of egos, reduced to a man staring at his own cruelty. Sir, the waiter asked softly, would you like me to bring your check? Ethan nodded numbly. When the bill came, he paid without looking at the amount. For the first time in his life, money didn't feel like power, it felt like guilt. He sat there a moment longer, then rose slowly and left. Outside, the night air was sharp, cold, and uncomfortably honest. His driver opened the limousine door, but Ethan shook his head. I'll walk, sir. It's 3 miles to your penthouse. I said I'll walk, and so he did. Down 5th Avenue, through the bright streets and shadowed corners, every step echoing with her words. Greater than, I lost my hair 6 months ago. Chemotherapy. Stage 2 lymphoma. He had insulted a woman battling for her life. He had made her feel small when she